Hey, this is CJ for Module 4, the coin counter for the C++ winter class. So I'm just going to get right to it. Pulling up Visual Studio, Module 4, which I'm going to actually just type in. Anyway, so in Module 4, I had to make a coin counter, or basically making a program that counts pennies. So you input the pennies, and then you should output the amount of quarters, nickels, and dimes, and pennies that it takes to create that number in the least amount possible. So I'm going to pull up the IDE here, and I'm going to try to make it bigger. Give me a moment. Yeah, actually, okay, so full window. You can actually see the code now. This is pretty much the code. There are actually parts that I kind of shortened up a little bit or closed up the pieces to. Sorry about that. Give me a second. Right. So really, it's a really simple program. So, making this a little bit bigger so that it's easier for you to see, or at least slightly easier for you to see. You can see that I put everything into the main function of IOStream at the top. I just kind of like wrote a little comment on what the program is about, which I already said. And actually the only thing I used for this was IOStream. Go fig. Anyway, the main part of the program was just to convert the number into nickels, dimes, and so on. I made it to where the conversions are constant. That way, no matter what, they don't change when I use them later on. And that way I accidentally don't change them either by poor programming or something. But, so it's like each penny per nickel, and yes, I shortened all the names, was stated. So then I went ahead and just did everything via pennies. So that you have the quarter, or the quarters will equal the pennies per quarter, which is actually put up there, and everything is going from pennies to nickels to dimes to quarters, but as we write them out, they'll actually go the other way, from quarters to dimes to nickels to pennies, which then I use the if and else statements nested more or less within each other. There's an if else statement nested within an if statement. And that's really just to make sure that everything comes out the way it's supposed to, especially with the pennies. The pennies is a little bit different because of the uniqueness. So I made it to where if you have pennies are greater than 0, or quarters equals 0, and dimes equals 0, and nickels equals 0, and of course pennies, then you're going to get the output of pennies. But if the pennies equals 1, you're going to get penny. So pretty much any other time, unless pennies equals 1, you're going to get pennies, which is really important because we don't say 0 penny, we say 0 pennies. So that was kind of important too. Anyway, just going to compile it here and then bring in the debug window. But yeah. Um, Alright, so I'm going to pull up the debug window from my other computer window here, and then we are going to go ahead and enter in 66 as the number of pennies, which is a really good factor of showing at least I get the plural and the singular for the dime, the nickel, and the penny. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pull up the folder file that it's in to run the executable, or to run the executable from, the PowerShell, or opening up PowerShell to run it. And that way I can run the executable several times over without having to reopen the start program without debugging every single time. And that way it's a little bit easier to test for all the possible variations. So I'm going to pull up the directory to make sure that I'm in the right folder. And yeah, I could take the long way, but it's a lot faster doing it this way. So we'll type in module 4 for the executable, and then it runs. I'll put in 66 again to see that it comes up with quarters, dime, and penny. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in a different number. Check out to show that it doesn't show anything else but the pennies. And then I'm going to show one again, and I'm going to put 1 penny to show that it shows 1 penny and no other coin, since that was part of the program. So I'm going to run it a couple more times. Now running the program, oh, sorry, I forgot that part. Forgot to put in the hash mark. Computers are stupid. Anyway, so I'm really going to run the program a couple more times for you to see, so that you can see that each time it's run with the different amount of pennies, and I'm going to actually try to keep them under, for the most part, $1, because anything over $1, you're just going to get a whole lot of quarters. And I really just want to make sure that I get it so that it shows, that the number of coins put in will show that a single for 1, or it'll put a 1 coin into a singular, and more than 1 coin, or more than 1 coin into plural. And if there are no coins, not to include pennies, if there are no coins whatsoever, then it's not going to show up. So as you can see, you have quarters, dimes, and pennies, but no nickels. The above one had like quarters, nickels, and pennies, no dimes. And then I'll put in a really large number, and you'll see like a quadruple, seriously large amount of quarters, 175, with just 2 dimes. And there's no pennies and no like nickels or whatnot. So you'll see that it's not like 0 pennies equals pennies all the time. No, we had to get rid of that too. All right. So, that is basically the program. Run it just one more time with a little bit fewer to see that I can get all the pieces in there. Now, this is you can go all day, but I can't really tell you precisely what each one is going to give you. So it's really hard to try to test for making sure that I get one. I can put in 25 cents for 1 quarter, but seriously, and then check. I can see that it does the 1 dime and stuff. Anyway, thank you, and that's the end of this one.